Welcome everyone to the CANDU Sports Show. Got your host Scott Blair here, and
Donray Bennett, if you know, you know.
yeah,
So, um, I'm excited. I'm excited. I usually say that, but I'm actually really excited today. There's a lot going on in sports. We got to focus on just three main areas. We got to keep it concise. There's a lot going on. Obviously, the NBA Finals. We're approaching Game 2.
yes sir.
As we record this, you've got the Blue Bloods going ham in baseball world, if I can consider my Phils part of that group. But with the Yankees and Dodgers at the top, it always brings interest, right? And then of
Yes,
course we've got the WNBA and all of its political drama. And finally, a seemingly breakout performance by Caitlin Clark. We'll see if it's one of the. It was against a winless squad, but still, nevertheless, she showed what she's capable of. And I would love to get your feelings on the Gino Oriema comments on the Dan Patrick show. I'll bring them to light if you didn't hear. I love Gino, so I think
yes,
he,
same.
as much as I grew up disliking him because I was always a hater of success, the appreciation for his approach and knowledge is just through the roof right now. So let's start off with the finals. I mean, here we are. All right, you called it, Dallas and Boston. Um, Game 1, did anything surprise you? And game 2, what do you expect to see?
Not really, not really. Heard a lot of the talking heads talking about how Dallas was going to be a hard matchup for Boston and everything else. I don't see it, and that's what we saw in Game 1. Boston has a lot of length. They have great depth. Their ability to guard Luka and Kyrie was they're going to get theirs, but they're able to control that side of the court on defense and offensively. They have shown that when they break 100, they're hard to stop. They really are. And the game they've only had a couple games in the playoffs where they've been tripped up. It's usually when the team kind of slows the pace down a little bit, in my opinion. So I really, maybe this series goes 5, maybe it goes 6, but
Oh,
Boston's winning. Boston's
what?
winning.
Listen,
Boston's winning.
I hear what you're saying, and
Just saying.
I make it a point to try not to listen to talking heads, but here's the deal. You've got two stars on the Celtics, which have a history, and anything could happen, right? It could be the year that they come out of it, but they've demonstrated that at the most pressurous of moments, that's a word, especially in Tatum, they play well, but they don't play up to the level that they need to when they absolutely have to.
It's
And on
the
the other,
bench.
and
It's the bench that
I no, I
bails them out.
agree. I agree. I'm not saying Celtics aren't a better team, which is why I mean, they dominated. But an adjustment or two here or there, which Kid will do, um, which Kyrie and Luca will do. I mean, they are the epitome of a superstar. They are a superstar, and I will be that with or without a good team, with or without good, or, regardless of if there's a presence of great defense, they're going to figure it out. There's no, I don't see the only way. I'll give you this: the only way Boston wins this if it's 4 or 5 games. If it goes 6 or 7, I don't think they have a chance. I think the more
Yes.
pressure the situation, the more
Yes.
finite it becomes, the more likely it is that Dallas pulls it off because I trust their superstars way more than I trust Boston's. Part of that is hate.
I
Um,
agree with that 100%.
okay. And not a hate for the person, by the way. Jaylen Brown off the court is an absolutely amazing person,
Truth.
brilliant and
Truth.
everything.
Truth.
Tatum is also a good dude. So when I say hate, I mean just they're Boston Celtics. So um, but yeah, and that's what, and I don't know a finals that goes for unless you've got, KD's Warriors, KD, Clay, and Steph. The finals don't go 4 anymore or 5. It's just not the way they go. I'm telling you, this is going. I say it goes 6, and if it goes 6, Maverick. I'm saying Mavericks in 6. Telling you.
So this is my take. I think the Celtics are going to go up 2-0. It's going to go to Dallas. Dallas will win game 3. Celtics will win game 4. It'll be 3-1. And maybe Dallas wins that game 5 just to kind of make it 3-2. But it's a Boston. Boston's either winning in 5 or 6. They're going to go
All
up
right.
2-0.
All right, let's see. Let's see what happens. All right. Well,
And,
let's keep
and
it moving. Go
well,
ahead.
let me just add this piece, right? Because if we and when that happens, because I do believe that's going to happen. But I also agree with what you said. If it gets to six and it's like a 1-1 series, 2-1, 2-2 series, kind of going that cadence, yeah, I switch and say Dallas because I trust their stars more, as you had mentioned. But I don't believe that's going to happen.
Okay.
And it's because, and then when we look back when that happens, it's going to be, yeah, we just look at Boston and they were the best team all season long. And
Yeah.
that's what happens. And when you look at them in the playoffs, it has been extremely uneventful. They were winning series, what? There was a sweep. They win in 5 games.
Yeah.
And they're just better than everybody else. And I think this is finally the year where they put everything.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, let's
Just
move.
saying.
Let's move on. We are when it comes to baseball season so long, it's hard to be truly invested because you're going to have ups and downs. Phil's just had a quick normalizing experience, but they're back on top.
They're okay.
Um,
Tom
but
York, they're going to be
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
They're going to be
you're
okay.
we're all right. We're all right. There's a lot of trade buzz though around a couple big names, but I'm kind of hoping they don't disrupt too much. But nevertheless, we had the Yankees facing off with the Dodgers extra innings last night. Dodgers pulled it
Great
out.
game.
A lot
Great
of
game.
people are talking about it could be a World Series preview. Um, it's fine. I prefer when my teams aren't favorites, so have at it. What do
So
you?
does Tom York.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because that's how we perform better, that underdog mentality. But
Wild card.
what are your feelings? This, we're a third of the way through. Um, actually, more than a third of the way through at
Yep.
this point. Um, you've got your Yanks are really playing well, top to bottom, offense. Um, I know you've had some injuries recently, which could always throw things for a loop. But overall, I mean, they're
They're
at the
looking
top.
good.
They're only second to the Phils in terms of win
Yep.
percentage at this point.
Go
Um,
ahead. I see you.
uh, what have you seen? What do you think this current series means, if anything at all? And what are you looking forward to?
uh, this is good. If we were to look at this last week as to what has been getting the most attention news wise in the sports world, WNBA is one. I would say last night's game is two, and then the W is three. And that's
Well,
saying a lot
I'm sorry, you cut
considering,
out real quick there. What was the number third one? What was the third one?
and then the NBA finals is three.
Okay, yeah.
And that's saying something considering it's the NBA finals. So what this game last night showed is one, the power of starting pitching a little bit, right? Going extra innings, the score was knotted up at 0-0 all the way through until I think the 11th inning. Um, Baseball needs either Yankees, Dodgers, or Yankees, Phillies. I really do. They need large market teams in there. But I'm not getting too excited because without Juan Soto, the Yankees are going to struggle. And the one thing we saw last night, table set for Giancarlo Stanton, and again he disappoints because
Mm,
he's now in that spot that Soto usually is. The lineup is perfect with Judge, Soto, and Stanton, but when Stanton is then kind of elevated and he has to make the hit because they're pitching around Judge to get to Soto, if I'm remembering the order a little bit. I'm going to be honest, I haven't been paying all that much attention to the Yankees because I'm focusing on WNBA and NBA stuff, but they need Soto in the lineup. And
mm,
if he gets back and it looks like he's going to be okay, um, then yeah, I think we're looking at Yankees, Dodgers, Yankees, Phillies, and baseball needs that because
yeah,
who do we have last year? We had Arizona and the Rangers.
and
Like,
the
come on,
Rangers. Mm,
come
mm.
on.
I know. I know. Well, and I'm not a hater. I recognize the talent on both of those juggernauts. Of course, in baseball, even though they're 7 game series, the early rounds are 3 and 5,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's where things can happen. The Braves had the
anything.
most wins. They won 100 plus. They were dominant, amazing lineup, great pitching. They came across a hot Phils team, and they got it back to the bank, and that's a crazy atmosphere. And now Strider, who was
How
unhittable,
many how many
you know,
times can we get a Phillies reference in on this
and
show? Keep it
I got
going.
I got to when they're the best team. I say that because I understand why the Dodgers are favorites, but I for baseball's sake, I agree with you that those 3 teams really need to make the push. But you got to watch out. I was trying to lead into the fact that You've got your Guardians right now who have no business being as good as they are, losing what they lost, even if they had what they, before the Beaver injuries and whatnot. I mean, no one had them doing what they're doing now with a full roster. Then they get hit by the injury bug before everything gets started, as bad as any team could, and they're still somehow finding ways to win. Jose Ramirez is amazing. So a team like that is the one that could disrupt this whole idea of blue
Truth.
bloods going head to head. And then
Truth.
in the NL, Arizona did it last year, so it could come out of anywhere as well, whether
Yeah.
it's the
Baltimore,
Giants
maybe.
or yeah, Baltimore,
Baltimore,
yeah,
maybe.
Baltimore maybe, and like the Giants have one of those teams that somehow they can somehow make it to the playoffs, could do it too. But so that's the baseball landscape.
Yeah.
I would love to get revenge from '09 on the Yankees, Phil's Yankees. I would love to get revenge for that if possible, but we got a long way to go.
Ah, it's all good.
Long way to go. Long way to go.
That was a
Uh,
good series too for the youngins. That was a good series.
it was. It was. I'm still so disappointed that Cole Hamler. It can't be the case that he was scared to pitch game two, and they because they went with Pedro, who was 95 years old, and he still went like 6 innings and only gave up 1 or 2 runs.
Is that
But
when he
what?
said was that his infamous quote? Where Pedro said the Yankees are my daddy. Is that
No,
was
he,
that
he
it?
did that. He did that when he was with the Red
That's
Sox.
right.
That was the
That's
Red
right.
Sox time. But they had those chants going on when we played there. You know what I mean? For game two, because the first two were in New York, and the word was, even though Hamels, the year before was our World Series MVP, and the expectation was he would be at least two, because Cliff Lee was a monster, and Cliff Lee went ham in game one, and then instead of Hamels in game two, we got Pedro, who
I don't
was
know. Hideki
about to
Matsui,
retire, like on the back end of everything, and he still pitched a heck of a game. Um,
Derek Cheetah, number
anyway,
two,
we're in
number two,
2024. That's it. Let's keep it moving.
number
Back to
two,
the script. So, as you said, you've been more focused on WNBA. I have myself. Um,
and Caleb Williams. Go Bears.
uh, Caleb Williams, but there's been a lot going on. There's been a lot in the media. You've got your cheap shots. You've got your, well, they're just, she's got a target on her back. When we talk about Caitlin Clark, you've got, but Cameron Brink simply stating, yeah, we all this entire rookie class is bringing a lot to the table. You've got Gino's comments where yeah, these three are more famous than the entire WNBA. So there are there are professionals being told that more or less these three are more than your career, and they're not ready for it. And his claim is simply that she doesn't have the build right now. She'll get there, but to compete in his WNBA. But he also, in fairness to him, said the same thing about Paige when he said,
Yep.
okay, what about when they switched it to the Paige conversation? He said, no, she doesn't have the body to compete there. She has the skill set and the things that will help her, eventually develop to there, but she's not, and he
Yep.
was very honest. And I actually agreed. I don't know that I would have agreed before his comments, but after he went into it, I agreed. So first and foremost, what are you seeing in the general landscape of WNBA, not just exclusive to Caitlin, but then also in the treatment of her by her teammates? Because that's my biggest concern. I don't care about the rest
Yep.
of the league. They can
Yep.
hate as much as they want, but the teammates, I'm like, what's going on? Teammates, WNBA as a whole, and then we could talk about the performance last night and if that's any indication that she's on the right trail.
So I want to give a shout out to my missus, to Mrs. Katie Blair, hopefully soon to be Hall of Fame inductee at Fleetwood. We'll see. Fleetwood School District.
Yeah.
And Kutztown School District, y'all better hire her for your coaching gigs.
Hey
Um,
now.
I'm just saying, nobody else in this area has the experience she has. But she brought attention to the Dan Patrick interview with Gino Oriema. I saw some of it. There were some pieces I missed. The last like 40 seconds where he comments about the whole Pat McAfee comment about Caitlin
Yep.
Clark is fantastic, because that needed to be said just about society as a whole.
True.
That
True.
we're able to do stuff now that we were never able to do, and that's unfortunate.
Yep.
So my quick take, Donray, is all of this stuff since the altercation with the Chicago Sky last weekend, all the noise, Monica McNutt and Stephen A. Smith and Rebecca Lobo and everybody else has got something to say. Everybody's right. and everybody's wrong. And it's because we have an inability to acknowledge that more than one thing can be true. The WNBA has been, I would say, more physical as a league than the NBA since they've been beating up on each other for 28 years. And
Absolutely.
that's a problem. And that's a problem. The league needs to, if we had this talk 5 years ago just about the WNBA as a whole, I would have said the same thing then. The
Well, just a
officiating is
year
atrocious.
ago, was it just last year
Yeah,
when Chelsea Plum's getting interviewed on All the Smoke, and she's talking about Tarazi, you
hip
know,
checking her.
hip checking her, and then they show the clip, and she's like, no
Yeah,
defense at all. She's like, nah, clip. So you're right. I'm
yeah,
sorry, but that was just as recent as
no,
within the last year, it was brought to
yeah,
everyone's attention with two stars
yep,
and not
yeah,
nothing
with
with.
2-3, yeah, yep. Officiating is atrocious. They need to clean up the fit. So it's always been physical. So the exchange and Caitlin Clark getting hip checked, yeah, they've been doing that since 1997. And you got to clean it up because it's ugly to watch. The game is often ugly to watch.
Mhm.
So that's one. That's someone who's been coaching basketball for 20 plus years, and I've seen the women's game for quite some time. The WNBA is physical, and I think it needs to be a little bit cleaner basketball, and that's the officiating. Is Caitlin Clark being targeted? Absolutely. And Gino talked about that, and he was 100% right that there's a whole lot of disrespect, not so much her problem. It's just fans in general, that she's going to come in, take the league by storm. She is doing pretty well. She's averaging, I think, 18, 19 points a game, which is pretty good, dropping 30 last night against the Mystics. But yeah, unreal expectations. And yeah, players, and Tarazi said it during the Final Four. She's going to get hers when she comes in because everybody does. But
Mhm.
she's getting targeted. And yes, should there be a little bit of a level of appreciation for her? Yes, because again, we're talking about a league that has never turned a profit in its history. The reason why they've never had charter flights is because they don't create a profit. They've been running in the red for 27 years, and all of a sudden, and it's not the rookie class. That's the one thing, the only thing that Pat McAfee said that I agree with, is it's not the rookie class that's doing all this. This is Caitlin Clark,
Mhm.
right? I saw a stat that says the Indiana Fever have had 5 games so far, and they have had 84, 82,000 fans, I think, at those 5 games. That's how many fans they had in total for all of their home games last season.
Mhm.
Everybody, right? Rising tide floats all boats. So all this, is there a racial component? Absolutely, there's a racial component. Are most players appreciative and happy to have her, and they're treating her respect, and you got some folks? All of that is true. All of that is true. But yeah, I think the one that bothers you and me the most is her teammates. Didn't get a chance to see her game last night, just saw the clips. But yeah, her teammates and her coach got some work to do. They got to defend her a little bit. Matt Barnes hit that nail on the head. But Gino was spot on just about with everything he had in
Mhm.
that Dan Patrick interview. Y'all got to watch it if you haven't. It was just fantastic.
I don't think I can add one solitary thing. I think that was very well put, um, especially with the fact that more than one thing can be true. And the bigger issue, um, in terms of something that isn't happening, or that shouldn't be happening or whatnot historically, is the teammate aspect. Because you can't find one highly touted person going into anything in the world of sports, going into college, going into pros.
Mm-hmm.
If you think back to your high school days, if some incoming freshman was supposed to be the next coming or really good or had a shot at varsity, that that meant all the varsity kids were going to show coach why that kid shouldn't be on varsity. Like the
Yeah,
appreciation as a teammate doesn't occur until
I
they're
took it personally.
actually right, until they're there. And so I don't know what world we're in. It's just because there's such a magnifying glass on it that we're like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my goodness, like, that happens every year. We
Yeah.
just haven't been you haven't been watching. You didn't
Mm-mm.
watch last year. You didn't watch the year before when the incoming superstars were getting treated that way. But because you are watching Caitlin, you see it. Well, guess what? Every sport, every level, it's happening. Now, what's being done to counter that? That's my issue. As you stated, yes, the
Yes.
league can do some things just to clean up the league, period, not just for
Period.
Caitlin Clark. But if
Yep.
this is bringing it to light, then good. But yes, it's long overdue. Moreover, the teammates can have a more immediate impact and should.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think they're reveling in it more so than anything. And that's opinion, of course, but I just don't see concern
No,
whatsoever
no.
when things go on. So, we'll see it as things go on. They have a learning curve. It's not like other leagues where you have this camp and also extended time to get to know your teammates. You're drafted a couple weeks after your last college game. You probably haven't even graduated yet, and you're already kind of doing some stuff. Then you gotta get right into preseason league. So there's not a lot of time for the gelling.
Right.
So that could play a part in why there seems to
Can,
be less of a
could
dis.
that? I have to jump in there, okay, if you
Mhm.
don't mind, because I don't know which talking head. I think it was McNutt, but I don't know. Said something of the effect of, well, maybe her teammates just don't have that defense mechanism in them. And I'm like, hold on a second.
Nah.
Exactly, right? You're not competing, and you don't, and when you see your teammate, you don't have the fight or flight of, all right, I'm gonna do something. Especially the hip check from last week, Chicago Sky, who was inbounding the ball to Caitlin Clark, was Aaliyah Boston. And
Mhm.
she played for Dawn Staley. I'm quite certain in her time in South
Absolutely.
Carolina, she was taught how to stand up for your teammates. So yeah, I'm looking at you, Aaliyah Boston. What are you doing?
Absolutely.
What are you doing?
Absolutely. And I got to
And
say,
there's one more. Oh,
I
go
would
ahead.
say to jump on that is that the natural reaction for a competitor, these are professional women who've been playing competitively probably since they were 5. The natural instinct is to jump in and defend. You have to learn more often than not how to do it structurally within the game without hurting your team, not getting thrown out, not to be a hothead about it. That's where the Dawn Staley's and Gina Oriema's come in, where they make sure that you
Yeah,
are doing what you need to do, but not going too far. So you
yeah,
step in, you do the don't throw hands or whatever the case may be. So I think it takes almost more effort to not do something. Like it's a concerted
yeah.
effort to
Or you don't
not.
respect your teammate.
Right. Because the first thing you do if a teammate gets knocked down is you got to like react towards it before you,
Yep.
okay, no, that person's real big. I don't want to do this. Or that person's crazy. I don't want to do this. Or hey, don't your natural reaction is to do something.
Yeah.
Your natural reaction isn't to do nothing
Or laugh at it as it
or
happens,
laugh.
but it kind of looked like what Boston was doing. Can we add two more things to this? Two more things. One is, again, this whole the Caitlin Clark dynamic and everything, because that can't. We need to acknowledge that, and for a lot of folks are jumping into this league right now, and they haven't been paying attention to it over the last couple of years. This is a league that has struggled. We've discussed this on this show for a year, and definitely before we even started the show, of how you can go to a game and you can sit 2-3 rows at some stadiums and go see a game and pay maybe $30 for a seat. Right? It's because the league's been struggling for attendance, for eyes, and now all of a sudden it is where it is. A lot of that is Caitlin Clark and rookie class. No. It's Caitlin Clark, and it's because she's bringing something to the game that the game has not had. And you and I remember growing up in the 80s and 90s in particular, there was that really good 90s Nike campaign about baseball. I think it was the whole chicks dig the long ball.
Oh yeah.
Remember that? And Doug Glav, you're right. All the Braves guys are
Yeah.
trying to hit home runs and
Tom
bat, right?
Glavine. Yeah.
Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux. And people dig the three, not just the 3-point shot, but the long shot. She's coming in like Steph
Because
Curry.
everyone can
Well, yeah,
do it. Everyone can't
but
dunk. Everyone
and
can
not
shoot.
every and not everybody can shoot like her.
No,
That's
no, but you
that
think you
not
can. You can convince yourself you can.
and that's the thing where I'm like, listen, that's what she's bringing in. She's bringing in a component to this game that the league has not had, and people want this. They want to see Steph Curry in the female form, and that's why folks are watching. And yes, I know y'all got shooters. Tarazi can chuck, right? Ionescu can chuck, but they can't shoot like her. And so we got to acknowledge that that's it. Oh, it's because of race and all these. Maybe that's a part of it, but it's also she's bringing a skill to the game that has not existed before. And the last one, and we teased this a few moments ago, it is the beginning of June. We got the Belmont Stakes. We got Yankees, Dodgers. We got the NBA Finals. What has been, we got Caleb Williams at camp killing it. What has been leading Sports Center all week? The WNBA. So even bad press is good press. So just enjoy the ride. People who are watching the games, educate yourself a little bit so you know what you're talking about, because a lot of folks don't know what they're talking about. Sarah Spain, shout out, because she was talking about that with Mike Golick and Golick Jr. this week, which is a really good take. But it's just the fact we're having this conversation the way we are now is pretty impressive. Because look at where the league is. This wasn't where it was a year ago.
No, ever.
Ever.
It's never been.
Ever.
I mean,
Hopefully
and
they get
the
it. Hopefully they make a
advertising and
profit this year.
marketing with all the eyes on it, leading ESPN, leading Sports Center and whatnot, you're getting eyes. So now advertisers are going to pay a little more money. Like, can they make money off that now? No, because that's ESPN and whatnot. But the domino effect is they have an opportunity now to capitalize. They have to capitalize on this. And then, because if they do it right, then when you get someone said, it's more like Angel Reese and Caitlin are more like Magic and Bird, but like
No.
Jordan is actually coming. Juju's coming, Paige is coming, Paige and like those are they could really, as long as they do well enough to hold or move it up and hold, then as he's
Juju and Paige,
right, the bigger name, the other names start coming. Now you got something to work with. So let's hope
you add more teams, because we didn't add this, Donray. We texted back and forth. 24 of the 36 drafted players are not in the league. That's atrocious, right? Crazy. Nico Mule didn't even play last night. Like, what are we doing?
All the names, all the faces that the flash and go fans that were tuned in for the tournament got to see, got to know. You got to go to Turkey if you want to see them play.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Daisha Fair, the third all-time leading scorer in college basketball history, she's not even on a team. What are we doing? WNBA, and meanwhile you've got the Washington Mystics. You can't beat nobody.
But it all comes back to what you stated, in that it's such a physical league. If you clean that up, now a scorer like Fair, she can prosper. But okay, so I know, as you can see, folks, he's off. He's off. Coach Blair is not currently on. He's always out and about. So we're going to let him get back to the family. Great graduation. Shout out. Congratulations, Emerson, on graduating, and all the other graduates this spring from high school, college, and the likes. Signing out. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we go?
Go Edmonton Oilers. Stanley Cup.
Okay. Yes, go Edmonton. Oh, I can't stand when a warm state wins. So go Edmonton. No shade, Florida, but go Edmonton. Canada, go ahead and get you a chip for once.
Good night, Tony Kornheiser. Good night, Canada.
Exactly. All right. Then that's it then. Talk to you later.
Deuces.
Peace.
Peace.